Welcome to the School of Etiquette's free course on easy networking. Now, I want you to imagine that you are attending an event with 250 strangers. You arrive at the event. Immediately, your palms begin to sweat. The air seems to catch in your lungs, your heart rate increases, and you walk through the doors into the room, and all eyes are on you. You freeze, you panic, and you pull out the only lifeline you have, your cell phone. And there you look into your phone as though you have a very important matter to attend to, while you make your way over to the closest chair in the darkest corner. And there you take a seat and take your first deep breath in. And you look around the room. Everyone else looks cool, calm, collected. They're saying the right thing, they're smiling, they're laughing. And you wonder how on earth at this age you still cannot master this very simple skill. Well, how many of us have experienced those exact emotions? Well, in fact, the stat is 75% of adults experience anxiety when attending an event with strangers. So that's 3 out of 4 people. So just when you think you're the only person that's feeling those emotions, know that you are not alone. Most of the people in that room feel exactly the same as you. So today we're learning about the importance of networking, but also how easy it is to actually network a room. After today, you will be able to confidently walk into any room and be able to manage yourself with a sense of calm and confidence and direction. No longer will you be stifled by these types of environments, but you may even become the most memorable person in the room, and potentially even the most effective networker in the room. So with that in mind, these are the topics we are going to be covering in this short course. Arriving on time, the placement of name badges, remembering your entrance, making friends with the convener, planning conversation starters, identifying important people and greeting them first, preparing an elevator pitch, not having a business card giveaway, and understanding the difference in behaviors with small parties versus big parties, and then phoning for follow-ups. The first rule of networking is to always arrive on time, for the reason that when someone arrives late to a networking event, everyone else has already formed groups, which makes it challenging for someone who may be socially anxious to join these groups. So, when you arrive on time, you end up being able to familiarize yourself with the environment. You get to make friends with all the other individuals who have arrived early. And essentially, you turn yourself from the anxious guest into the confident host. When it comes to your name badge, it should always be worn on the right-hand side of your body. The reason being, when you're shaking someone's hand with your right hand, the name badge falls directly in line with your outstretched arm, making it easier to read. Whereas most of us typically tend to place it on the left-hand side if we're right-handed. Now, another thing to take into consideration is where you place that name badge. So, for example, we've had students who have been extremely voluptuous, wearing very low necklines, and they've placed the name badge in the center of that neckline. So naturally, one's eye will always go to where the name badge is. So just be aware that you are placing it in an appropriate place. When arriving at an event, always remember your entrance. And this is particularly important because a first impression happens within 5 seconds of seeing someone. That means before you've had time to speak, people have judged you and placed you in a box. And most of us, when arriving at an event, will tend to pull out our cell phones as a social crutch and to help ease the anxiety. If this is how people see you for the first time, it could reflect that you are shy or unsure, which doesn't necessarily reflect well on your level of professionalism. The perception is that if you have a good product offering, you will be confident and more sure of yourself. Your first impression will also dictate how people respond to you going forward, and whether they will want to actually engage with you further. So remember, when you're making an entrance into a room, think, what is the impression I am trying to create? Do I want to look confident, professional, sexy, cute? And then make sure that the way you enter into a room reflects this. Allow people to see you in that position before you make your way in. Most people believe that we are victims of judgment, but we are actually masters of that judgment. So you can control how people perceive you. In our International Business Etiquette and the Adult Finishing School courses, we take you through all of this detail and so much more. One of the secrets to networking that not many people know is that you need to befriend the convener on arrival. The convener is the person who sets up the event and invites the participants. So the easiest way to meet your networking goals and discover opportunities at an event is to know the people that will be attending. And so the best way to find out that information is to chat to the convener of the event, as they will have insider's details of everyone in attendance. So to give you an example using a previous experience of mine, I was attending a networking breakfast, and on arrival, I spent some time chatting to the convener, listening to a bit about him, making friends, building rapport, selling myself as a person instead of my company. And while we were chatting, he said, "Won't you excuse me a moment? I just need to greet the head of HR for one of the biggest banks in the world." So naturally, I looked who the individual was. And when they asked the audience to take their seats at their tables, who did I find myself sitting next to quite by chance? And I say that with all the sarcasm in the world, but next to the head of HR for one of the biggest banks in the world. And I had 2 hours of his undivided attention to sell him first on myself and then on my company. And that's really how easy it is. That brings you to the end of part 1 of your Easy Networking course. Move on to part 2 now.